Are you about to make one of the biggest property mistakes in Australia? Buying new property can seem like the easier option, but it might actually be setting you up for disappointing returns. So, should you invest in brand new developments, or are established properties the smarter play? Hi, I'm AJ from Handle Properties, and today, I'm breaking down the real pros and cons of new versus established properties. By the end of this video, you'll see why established properties often leave new ones in the dust, and how to avoid falling into common traps set by developers and property marketers. Stick around. Growth. Every investor's goal is for their property to increase in value over time. The truth is that new properties usually lag behind established ones in terms of capital growth. Here's why. New builds are often located in areas with a lot of undeveloped land, where developers can keep adding more properties. So even though you might see an initial spike in value, there's a risk that prices will stagnate once demand drops, or when another wave of new builds is released nearby. Established properties, on the other hand, are typically in areas where supply is fixed. These are inner city or well-located suburbs where land is limited, which drives up demand and, in turn, property values. If you're looking to build a strong portfolio, growth is key. You don't want to be stuck with a property that flatlines in value. Good or bad, you might have heard that new properties come with big depreciation benefits, which can save you on taxes. And that's true. With a new build, you can claim depreciation on the building itself and any fixtures for around 30 to 40 years. This might sound great because it boosts cash flow, but there's a catch. Let's say you've claimed $10,000 per year in depreciation over 10 years. That's $100,000 in deductions. But when you sell, you could owe 45-50% of that back to the ATO as recaptured depreciation. On the flip side, established properties do offer some depreciation benefits too. Maybe not as much as new builds, but enough to offset costs without creating a tax headache down the line. At Handle Properties, we advise our clients to view depreciation as a bonus, not the main reason to buy. New properties can initially seem more appealing to tenants. They're modern, they have fresh appliances, and they require less upkeep. However, many new build areas are dominated by investor-owned properties. Take suburbs like Yarrabilba in Queensland, where over 60% of properties are owned by investors. This leads to competition between landlords, driving rents down and causing higher vacancy rates. In contrast, established properties in established neighborhoods usually attract stable, long-term tenants who want to stay close to work, schools, and amenities. Vacancy rates are typically lower because there's more consistent demand. Plus, if you're choosing an area with low vacancy and a high demand for rentals, you're more likely to enjoy rental growth over time, which boosts your cash flow and lets you reinvest. Another major selling point for new builds is low maintenance. This is absolutely true for the first few years. With a new property, you won't have to worry about the roof or plumbing issues anytime soon. But let's do the math to see if the savings are worth it. For an established property, let's estimate $2,000 a year in maintenance costs. Things like replacing an oven, fixing a small leak, or landscaping. Over 10 years, that's $20,000 in maintenance. A new property might only cost you around $500 per year for the same period. So over 10 years, you're saving about $15,000 in maintenance costs. But here's the kicker. While you saved $15,000 in maintenance, you might have sacrificed hundreds of thousands in capital growth. The choice to go low maintenance upfront could cost you long-term wealth. At Handle Properties, we find that the value gained from capital growth in an established property far outweighs any savings on maintenance in a new build. We also prefer established properties due to their potential for value add. Take a simple example. A $20,000 renovation on a well-located, established property could add $70,000 or more to its value. Not only does this boost your property's worth, but it also lets you access that equity to fund your next investment. New properties rarely offer these kinds of opportunities because they're usually built to spec and lack room for significant upgrades. Value add strategies are crucial for growing your portfolio faster, and they're one of the most reliable ways to create wealth through property. You've probably seen ads touting grants and incentives for first-time buyers of new properties. While these can make new builds attractive at first glance, remember that incentives don't equal good investment. The fact that incentives exist for new builds often signals a need to stimulate demand in those areas. Established, high-growth areas rarely need incentives because demand is naturally high. So, while a government incentive may seem like a bonus, it can be a red flag. It's important to invest in areas that are naturally growing, not artificially boosted by incentives. In property, the land is what appreciates, while the building itself generally depreciates over time. So, when you buy a property, you want as much of your purchase price as possible to be tied to the land. For example, in an established suburb, if you buy a property for $600,000, a high percentage of that value could be in the land itself. This is a major advantage because land in a built-up area has natural scarcity. There's only so much of it to go around. This scarcity drives demand and pushes prices higher. New properties, on the other hand, often come with a low land-to-asset ratio. Developers typically buy cheap land on city outskirts, where there's a large supply, and they build high-density homes to maximize their profits. When you buy here, a large chunk of what you're paying goes to the building, not the land. And as we said earlier, the building doesn't appreciate, only the land does. So let's bring it all together. If you're serious about building real wealth, established properties are generally going to serve you far better. They're in established areas with proven demand, offer more consistent growth, and allow you the flexibility to add value in ways that house and land packages simply can't compete with. And now, I've got to say this. Watch out for the property spruikers out there who only ever recommend new builds or house and land packages. The reality is, they're not just giving you friendly advice. They're often getting a fat check from developers for every package they offload. That's right, they're paid by the developers, not by what's actually best for you. Think of it like a commission trap. They'll talk about growth corridors, rental guarantees, and how easy it is to get into the market. But the truth is, they're just selling stock. And when your investment doesn't perform, they're already off to sell the next shiny new build to someone else. At Handle Properties, we do things differently. We focus on proven, established properties because we're committed to finding value and growth for you. Our goal isn't just to get you into a property, it's to get you into the right property, one that's going to work for you over the long term. If you found value in this, hit that like button, subscribe, and feel free to share this with someone who might be about to fall for a slick sales pitch. And if you're ready to take the next step with an advisor who's actually got your back, reach out to us at Handle Properties. Let's set you up with a strategy that's built to last and avoid those commission-driven traps along the way.